Morning and welcome to the Sunday morning service here at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Laguna Beach. My name is Pamela Flodman, and I will be serving as the worship associate for this morning. Our Zoom and audiovisual texts today are Don West Jr. and Dara Skarecki, and our music director is Carole Cole. As we begin our time of worship this morning, I'm going to ask you to join me in reading our centering thought. So we'll give Dawn a minute to bring the centering thought up on the screens, and then we'll join together in reading the centering thought. And for those of you who are on Zoom, if you wish to unmute yourselves so that you can hear your voice and hear it joining with each other's, that would be wonderful. So please join in reading together our centering thought. Music in the soul can be heard by the universe. These are words from the ancient Taoist philosopher Lao Tzu, and they capture the power that music can have in our lives. Today, our service is focused on music, and it is titled Women's Music for Women's History Month. We have so many talented members of our congregation here at UUFLB, and I think often they're hidden talents. And so I'm always grateful when people are willing to share their talents. Today, our own Sherry Keith has joined forces with Carole Cole and I think other members of the congregation as well, to lead us on an exploration of the amazing music that has been created by women in America over the decades, from Florence B. Price to Malvina Reynolds to Bonnie Raitt. The simple words that we just read from Lao Tzu, music in the soul can be heard by the universe. These words resonate with me. They capture in 10 simple words my own response to music. So today's service will focus on the power of music that can speak to us on a deep level, heal our spirits, touch our soul, and empower us to go out and make a difference. Our gathering music this morning was Fight Song by Rachel Plato, and it's just one example of powerful music created by women, more recent music in this case. I hadn't seen this video version before preparing for today's service. Listening to current popular music for me is an activity that I mostly do while driving, and mostly while driving in the car with my daughter. I remember being struck the first time I heard this song by how it captures challenge and power and hope for the future. And for me, it's not just the lyrics that Rachel Plato sings, but it's also the melodies and the harmony, the rhythm that come together in this music to create possibility in the face of challenge. And I think that's a great metaphor for what we're doing here as a community at UUFLB. Each Sunday, anywhere there is a service held in a Unitarian Universalist congregation, a chalice is lit. The flaming chalice is the symbol of our faith. So if you have joined us by Zoom this morning, I invite you to light a chalice within your home. And I've invited Sherry Keith to light the chalice for us here at UUFLB. So if you'd like to come forward and light the chalice, as I read our chalice lighting words, which this morning are from the Oberlin UU Fellowship in Oberlin, Ohio. We light this chalice to find inner peace, love for each other, and faith in ourselves. Also to be welcoming to whomever we meet and kind to all living creatures. So gather around this light of hope as we share this time together. So thank you, Sherry, for lighting the chalice to begin the service this morning. And throughout our time of worship this morning, if you are here in the building, I invite you, if you wish, to come forward and light a candle here in the sanctuary in recognition of whatever you are carrying in your heart as you join us for worship today. At UUFLB, we are a welcoming congregation with a commitment to work together to actively dismantle systemic racism and oppression in all of its forms. Whoever you are, whomever you love, no matter your age or gender, your ancestral background, whatever sincere questions that you bring with you today. And really, whatever has brought you here to be with us this morning, we welcome you to our community of mutual caring and of serious intent to grow as spiritual and ethical beings in a community which supports each of us as we work to make a difference in our world. So I want to say a huge thanks to everyone at UUFLB who works together each week to create these opportunities so that we can worship together and be together in community. And that includes all of the members of our board, our worship committee, everyone who helps prepare each week for these worship services and other events such as the Zoom at Noon discussion group. And I also want to recognize everyone who steps in when they see that there's something that needs to be done. Maybe when one of us needs some extra support, either with our tasks here at the fellowship or extra support in our life events during the week. I know that this community is here to support each other and also to engage within our broader community and to make a difference. And there are always more opportunities to work together, more to be done. And so if there's anyone who's looking for a way to become more involved, reach out. And for those who are visiting our community today, please connect with us after the service if you'd like to be added to our email mailing list so that you can receive advance notice of each service, a Zoom link for the services if you choose to attend as a hybrid service, and other events. Because really, I think connecting with each other is the way that we build our community as a strong base from which we can go out and make a difference in the world. So on the slide that Dawn will next bring up for us is information about upcoming services here at UUFLB over the next several weeks. And first, I want to point out the service next week on March 19th, which will be led by our own Dawn West, who is currently a student of ministry at the Star King School of Ministry. And Dawn has been leading a series on being the change challenge, in which he is focusing in each service on one of the UU principles that we affirm and promote as a UU congregation. And the principles are listed on the back of your order of service if you picked up an order of service at the back of the sanctuary today. The focus next week will be on the third principle. And then on the fourth Sunday of each month, we typically hold a social justice service that is focused on the various social action needs and opportunities that are available to us to get involved within the community. And on March 26th, Noreen will be leading a service for us together with Jemiah from Crop Swap LA, which is focused on local work and meeting food challenges. So I know that will be an important service. April 2nd will be the first of a series of quarterly services over the coming months that our friend Reverend Celia Young will be leading with us. And the focus of this series is going to be on aging, I think engaging with our aging and defining self. So I hope that you're able to join us for these services and other services coming up in the following weeks. Briefly, I'll give just a few announcements. First announcement, I think, is actually the second one on this screen, but every Monday at noon, there is a Zoom at noon discussion group which meets. And again, if you choose to add yourself to our emailing list, you'll get the announcements of those meetings. I unfortunately miss them almost every Monday, but I know that this is a group that has been a very helpful and effective way for both people who've been part of the congregation for a while and folks who are joining the congregation to get to know each other and support each other. So that group meets every noon as a discussion group. I believe there's always a topic and a discussion prompt, although I think that the conversation and engagement sometimes ranges quite widely from the specific prompt. But if you're interested, I hope that you're able to join that group. So thank you all for joining us today, for being a part of this community, for committing to make a difference. This morning, our service is focused on music. And for our opening hymn today, we have chosen hymn number 1051. It's in the green hymnal if you like to follow along with the music, and it will also be on the screen. So you'll see the words on the screen as well. And this hymn is number 1051, We Are. This music was written by Isaiah Barnwell, who is an amazing American singer and composer. She was a member of the a cappella ensemble Sweet Honey in the Rock for many years, and amazingly is also a speech pathologist and has a Master of Science in Public Health from Harvard. And she was the founder of a group called the Jubilee Singers, which is a choir at the All Souls Unitarian Church in Washington, D.C. And this music, We Are, I think, again, captures our theme for the morning, music created by women, and music that really engages us with community and I think brings meaning to our lives. So please join Carole Cole in singing this beautiful hymn. And again, the words will be on the screen.
And stretch your legs. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreaming. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We are sisters of mercy, brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth, lovers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, the morning star rises, sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises, sings to the universe who we are.
Let us take a moment to remind ourselves why we come together as a community. I invite you to read these words together when and if it feels right for you. If you have joined us by Zoom, you may want to unmute your microphone again so that your voice can be joined together with the voices here in the fellowship building. The words of our unison affirmation will be on our screens. So please join me in reading. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law. This is our great covenant to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and love, and to help one another. We have come now to a time in our service to briefly share the important events that have touched our lives in the past week. The joys which we share are amplified so that they can extend beyond ourselves into the community and bring joy to all of us. And in sharing our sorrows, that really gives us the opportunity to provide for each other the support and the care that are vital for each of us in our lives. So during this time of sharing our joys and concerns, we will pause the recording of the service this week. Your friend, and to you and those who are supporting your friend as you move through this time. And I wish the best for what will be possible, given that the heart surgery didn't turn out as it was initially intended to be. So please know we're keeping you and your friends in our minds during this week. I'm also thinking of those painful stretching and flexibility that comes along with pushing the boundaries and moving along with your work at Star King, Dawn. The painful parts of that stretching, but then also the joy I think I can hear in your voice as well as you're working, doing your work as a student at Star King. What delightful news that your son is getting engaged. Best wishes to your family for sure, Robert and Sherry. And Mike, best birthday wishes for you this week. We have several birthdays coming up in my family as well in the coming weeks. And I think I also hear in your voice that you're focusing on the joy aspect of the celebration and the opportunity to celebrate a 69th birthday. And welcome to our visitors. How wonderful that you found us by chance. I realize now you have this afternoon to spend in Laguna Beach until the event at the Hare Krishna Temple, but we're so glad that you're here with us this morning. And we also recognize that there are joys and sorrows that are unspoken this morning, that maybe are too recent or too tender to speak in the larger community. But we are here to provide our trust and support to each other for the joys and concerns, both spoken and unspoken. We value this community as a place where we can share and support each other, find comfort and peace, lighten our burdens, and amplify our joys. So now we will restart the recording as we move on with the service. And we recognize that it is both a blessing to be able to give and also a blessing to be able to receive. And both are important in this self-governing, self-sustaining community. We recognize this as a responsibility to both give and to receive and to do both well. Our fellowship absolutely depends on the love and the generous contributions from our members. And we're empowered by the innumerable gifts of those who join in covenant with us, their time, compassion, humor, and financial contributions. All of our gifts generously given are needed for this fellowship and for its continued work in the world. So during this time of offering, we will be passing a basket within the fellowship, and the information up on your screen provides additional ways that you can give. And while we're passing the basket within the fellowship, we'll have music to enjoy from Carole. And Noreen, I wonder, since Paul isn't here today, would you mind passing the basket? Please join us now in singing to each other words of sincere gratitude. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
Thank you all. We are now going to enter into a time of meditation, and as we do so, I think perhaps we want to switch the cameras in the fellowship building so that they're focusing up front. After our time of meditation, we'll be moving into the presentation part of the service. So as we enter now into the spirit of prayer or meditation, you may wish to close your eyes or perhaps keep them open and focus on the image of the universe that we have in the front. Rest your hands in your lap. Feel your feet firmly connected to the ground beneath you, and follow your breath as you breathe in and out. Breathing in and out. And we'll have a few short words of meditation, followed by a short time of silent meditation, then with music to bring us out of the meditation as we continue with the service. And the words of meditation this morning are from Orlando Brugnola. As we move through life, finding ourselves always newly wise and newly foolish, we ask that our mistakes be small and not hurtful. We ask that as we gain experience, we do not forget our innocence, for they are both part of the whole. Terry Keith to come forward to lead us in our exploration of music during Women's History Month. So for those who've joined us by Zoom, we're just rearranging space here for the folks here within the fellowship to come more closely together. And I will help Sherry get set up with a microphone. Do you want to be down there? Okay, but we'll need to give you Carole's microphone so that the folk who are with us on Zoom can hear.
Okay. You don't mind sharing the microphone. Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity. I was inspired by Rachel last week because she brought Women's History Month to the service. And I was also thinking, well, I come a lot and I could share a little more, but especially around music, because probably most of you have heard this story already, but it was music that brought me to this UU fellowship. I don't go to church. I never went to a UU service before. That I ride my bicycle a lot around Laguna, right? It's one of the great pleasures for me living in Laguna is that I don't have to get in the car to go places. And I was riding along and I was really looking for a place to practice the piano. I didn't have a piano at home at that time. And a good friend of mine who's a jazz musician, she says, well, Sherry, if you're down there, just go to a church and you're likely to find a piano. And was riding by, the door was open. It was not a Sunday, it was a weekday. And so I, okay. And so I stopped, got off my bike and I walked in and there was a young woman working in, it was quite some years ago, working in the office. And she was very nice. And I said, and then I saw the piano and I said, oh, I said, would you mind? Could I play the piano, practice the piano? And she says, well, it's okay with me. And then I went home and I mentioned it to Robert, my husband, and his aunt was a very long time staunch member of the Unitarian Church in Pasadena. And so, he was familiar. He said, well, let's go by and go to a service. And when I came, of course, I was really taken with it because of the ideas and the principles, because I don't consider myself a spiritual person. Right? I'm kind of a materialist. I have feet on the ground, but I've also been very committed to social justice for many, many years. And the ideas here really resonated with me, as did the music that I came here. Of course, we have a wonderful person doing music for us. We're so lucky. I would come maybe even if I didn't like what people were saying, just to hear Carole play and sing. So I wanted to, take up this theme, and I don't really want to I really want it to be musical. I think Pam gave a great introduction. I surveyed some of you at the end of last week, and I asked a few friends over the course of the week about their favorite pieces of music. And I think that's actually not a good question, because there's so much music that we love as individuals that it's hard to say favorite. But what I did notice is that we got it was kind of bimodal in the sense that some people mentioned very traditional songs, like Oakley told me about Skyboat Home, which I didn't know, a Scottish, which I didn't know, so, and then of course, my husband mentioned Imagine by John Lennon, not the Beatles. I was a party at Gloria's house with a Beatles musician, and I said, would you play Imagine? He says, that's not a Beatles song. But anyway, that was good. And a few love songs and that sort of thing. And then I thought, well, I'm going to follow Rachel's lead and try to select a few things that were both composed and presented, whether they're sung or they're instrumental pieces, by women, because it's Women's History Month. And actually, there's really a huge amount of music that has been put forward by women. And so I want to narrow it a little bit, because to something more specific here. And I had the opportunity just last week, another friend and musician, actor, his name is Jeffrey Breyer. I think some of you may know Jeffrey. Maybe all of you know Jeffrey. He's been doing a course at the Susie Q Senior Center on music, classical music. And he did a wonderful session last week on Florence B. Price. How many of you know Florence B. Price? Well, Robert was there with me. No, he was there with me. And yeah, we were there together. I was actually there with him. And that's right. I'd never heard of Florence B. Price. When I thought of classical music, I've been in touch with Carole, and she'd suggested Spanish. Alessia de la Rocha. Yeah. But then when I heard about Florence B. Price, I thought, well, this is perfect to share a little bit about this woman, because she was born in, I believe, 1887. So at the end of the 19th century. She was born in the South, but her family moved to Chicago, and she grew up in the church. And at the age of 4, she gave her first performance. She was a prodigy on the piano. And that was recognized, this incredible talent that she had. So she began to study music, and at the age of 16, she was accepted into the New England Conservatory of Music to study music. She became a musician. She became a composer, and she is actually the first African-American woman to ever have a musical work played by a major symphony in the United States, which happened in 1933. So she's a very, very interesting, important figure that nobody knows about. Well, some people know about him. Jeffrey knew about her. That was good. And I guess I wanted to spread the word, because this is part of our heritage. And I do want to mention that if you can see from the photo of her, she's obviously older in this photo, that when she went to the conservatory, the New England Conservatory, she went as Hispanic. She did not go as African American. And you may or may not know, a real favorite singer of mine and songwriter too, is Nina Simone. I love Nina Simone. And a very similar story. Nina Simone, younger, born I think in 1933, but grew up in the church as a child. At the age of 3, accompanied her mother, a minister, and she was playing the piano. And she went to Juilliard, and then she wanted to go on to the Curtis School of Music in Pennsylvania, and they wouldn't admit her because she was African American. Nina Simone could not pass for anything but African American. And in fact, she did something really important. I didn't select that to show you, but Rachel had told me last week that her favorite song was Get Up, Stand Up for Your Rights, which, I love Jimmy Cliff. I have a Jamaican husband, Jamaican American husband. I lived in Jamaica for years. I loved Jimmy Cliff. But it made me think of Nina Simone's music that she sang, which is, anyone know her Young, Gifted, and Black. So wonderful. She was part of the civil rights movement. She marched with Dr. King, right? She was there at the March on Washington, and And she composed that, and it's very interesting. She's a very forceful personality, an extremely forceful. And when I looked at the clip, which I'm not going to share with you, but I suggest when you go home, you can see it on YouTube. She's presenting it for this first time. She's sitting up on the stage. It's a large audience of almost all young African Americans. And she starts to sing, and someone evidently gets up to walk out, and she stops. She said, "Don't leave. Don't leave now. This is for you." Anyway, I would like us to listen just to a few minutes, 2 minutes of the first movement of a symphonic piece that Florence B. Price composed. And while you're listening to it, think about what influences you hear musically in this composition. So if Dawn can pull up, I'm hoping the technology works. If Dawn can. So what did people hear in this music, both emotion, sentiments, and musically? Carole, what did you hear?
I hear Negro spiritual sounds and chords and embellished with classical style.
Right. Maybe a little Liszt, maybe a little Chopin. Yeah. Yeah. Linda.
I heard rain falling on you.
Oh, yeah, very much. What? Okay. Did people hear what Carole said? No. Okay. I'm going to just pass the mic.
Oh, Mike. I just heard overtones of course, of Negro spiritual, the chords and the structure, but embellished with classical scales and chromatic scales and chords and progressions.
Will this reach to you, Linda?
I heard rain falling on the eaves outside our patio.
Yeah.
I definitely did not hear rain pattering on our patio because our patio has been flooded for weeks.
Anyone else?
I heard suffering. I heard sorrow. But also towards the end, I'd like to hear the rest of it, resilience. I started hearing sort of a little bit of upbeats.
That's sad. Yeah, and actually, though, the Chopin's Raindrop Prelude is written in E minor. Okay, so that's just a woman, American woman, African American woman composer that you can explore, especially if you enjoy classical music. She has, beautiful music. We found her on YouTube. She's easy to find on YouTube, and to spread the word about her because it's part of our heritage that has been a little bit obscured. So I want to move to a different modality of music, the American folk song. And I wanted to share a folk song writer and social activist whose name is Malvina Reynolds. How many of you have heard of Malvina Reynolds? Oh, good. Oh, good. Okay, great. Okay, good. More than I expected, because Pete Seeger is so famous and has so many wonderful songs and is such a terrific storyteller. I mean, he's really an American treasure in this genre of music. But Malvina Reynolds is as well. She was born in 1900. She's a little more recent than Florence B. Price. And she lived until 1975, and she was really active in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is where I first got to hear her sing and know about her. And later in the 1970s, Robert and I founded a summer camp for children called Cooperative Camps for Children, and it embodied a lot of UU principles, even though we weren't members of the U, and a lot of things to the political left as well. But we sang a lot of Malvina Reynolds songs with the children. And when I was thinking about these songs, because some people had mentioned their favorite songs, they dealt with a theme of love, but primarily romantic love. And not love in the larger sense of agape and love for the universe, love for humanity, love for nature. And I love this song by Malvina Reynolds. It's called The Magic Penny. And it's a wonderful song. It's a children's song. I'm gonna have, someone playing it that's covering for her. And we're going to listen to it, and I have the words. I'm going to see if we can sing it ourselves. Okay, so if Dawn could play that now. So.
Love is something if you give it away, give it away, give it away. Love is something if you give it away, you'll end up having more. It's just like a magic penny, hold it tight and you won't have any, but lend it, spend it, and you'll have so many, they'll roll all over the floor. For love is something if you give it away, give it away, give it away. Love is something if you give it away, you'll end up having more. It's just like a magic penny, hold it tight and you won't have any, but lend it, spend it, and you'll roll all over the floor. For love is something if you give it away, give it away, give it away. Love is something if you give it away, you'll end up having more. It's just like a magic penny. Hold it tight and you won't have any, but lend it, spend it, and you'll have so many. They'll roll all over the floor. For love is something if you give it away, give it away, give it away. Love is something if you give it away, you'll end up having more.
Yeah, right. Let's give ourselves a hand. I think that's one of the things that's so important about music and singing is doing it with other people. And one of the things I realized, I think I only realized it when I lived out of the US for quite a while, and particularly lived in Brazil. And here, music it's widely available, but it's commercially available. It's professionally available. And I think lots of us who are not accomplished professional musicians, like the wonderful accomplished professional musician we have with us, feel, we don't want to sing. We don't feel like we can let loose and enjoy. And when you go to a party in Brazil, there's always a guitar, and there's usually some percussion, and the cart gets passed around and people sing different songs. They're not, it's just for fun. And I really wish that we would be doing that more ourselves at home, not just in the shower, but, with our friends and families. So I think that, we should really try to cultivate that in our lives, and it will make us a lot happier. So now we have another part of the program, because we have two members of the congregation, Phyllis and Harry, who sing together. Well, they're married too, but they sing together. And I thought that's a wonderful inspiration, example for this idea that we should bring music into our lives, our everyday lives. And they've joined from Virginia. And Harry, you're from originally, are you from? Florida. From Florida. Oh, my condolences. No. But anyway, they are going to sing a duet for us.
Yeah, they're going to use that.
So she's like,
just right there. They're going to come where you are, I think. Okay.
Well, do you want to sit down?
Take the chair until my leg wakes up.
Yeah, take the chair.
I'll be okay standing once my leg wakes up.
Thank you so much, Sherry. Harry and I did come from Virginia. We had a service there a year or so ago wherein we each were to tell why we came to the UU church. And when I was asked, I said, I came to find a husband. And such was the case. So we have been here for a little over 2 years. We live in Laguna Woods. And we are definitely not trained singers. We just do it because we like to sing and like to sing together. The song that we're going to sing today, and it does make me nervous to sing, so pardon that. It's called The Rose, and it was written by a woman by the name of Amanda McBroom but it was Bette Midler who made the song famous. She sang it and released it in 1970, and she won the Grammy Award for having released that song. So we will try The Rose.
You ready?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh. B flat. So, ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Some say love, it is a river that drowns the tender reed. Some say love, it is a razor that leaves your soul to bleed. Some say love, it is a hunger, an endless aching need. I say love, it is a flower, and you, its only seed. It's the heart afraid of breaking that never learns to dance. It's the dream afraid of waking that never takes a chance. It's the one who won't be taken, who cannot seem to give, and the soul afraid of dying that never learns to live. When the night has been too lonely and the road has been too long, and you think that love is only for the lucky and the strong, just remember in the winter, far beneath the bitter snows, lies the sea that with the sun's love in the spring becomes the rose.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was wonderful. I'm over time, but I really want to do this last song because I think maybe some of you know our son has had his second kidney transplant in November, and it's so difficult, the process of getting organ transplants. It's even when you have donors and so forth, it's an extremely excruciating, difficult process. And about 2.5 weeks ago, his wife-to-be, Kate, called me up in the evening. Listen, you got to look. They just awarded the Grammys to Bonnie Raitt. And I didn't know, of course, I didn't know who she was, but I'm out of it. Come on, I'm totally out of it. But I admit it, I'm totally out of it. I'm out of the mainstream. I'm out of the mainstream. I don't know what stream I'm in. So I'd like to, let's just do, since we're short of time, Dawn, don't do the first link at the top of the song, just like that. Let's just do the song. And it's wonderful to see, if you have a chance, to see her acceptance of the Grammy. It's so moving. You can see that she is such a deep, wonderful, caring person. And she composed this song for someone she knew who needed a heart transplant. And the song is really very beautiful, very moving. So I just like to share it with you, because there may be somebody here that's almost as out of it as I am and didn't hear it yet. Okay,
and
good.
she defeated Beyonce and all these huge stars.
Yeah,
in winning Song of the Year. It was extraordinary.
I watched him circle around the block, finally stopped at mine. Took a while before he knocked, like all he had was time. Excuse me, ma'am, maybe you can help. The directions weren't so clear. I'm looking for Olivia's aunt. They said I might find her here. Well, I looked real hard and asked him what she's got he's looking for. Said there's something I think she'd want to know when I let him in the door. It's not like me to trust so quick. It caught me by surprise. But something about him gave me there in his eyes. Just like that, your life can change. If I hadn't looked away, my boy might still be with me now. He'd be 25 today. No knife can carve away the stain. No drink can drown regret. They say Jesus brings you peace and grace. Well, he ain't found me yet. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Sat down and took a deeper breath and looked right in my face. I heard about the son you lost, how you left without a trace. I spent years just trying to find you so I could finally let you know it was your son's heart that saved me, and a life you gave us both. Just like that, your life can change. Look what the angels send. I lay my head upon his chest, and I was with my boy again. Well, I spent so long in darkness, I never thought the night would end. But somehow grace has found me, and I had to
Now is the time for us to extinguish the chalice here at UUFLB. And before we do that, I just want to thank Sherry for bringing to us your reflections and your thoughts about music in our lives, music during Women's History Month. It's certainly exposing me to music that I haven't heard before, and I'm going to go explore further. Thank you to Harry and Phyllis and to Carole for bringing us your music during the service today, and to all of you who spoke with Sherry and shared your ideas and thoughts of music that's been a part of your life. So that we could bring it and share it here together. What a wonderful way to for me, really start thinking about Women's History Month this week during our service. So thank you all. Yay. And now, as we extinguish the chalice here at UUFLB, and for those of you who are on Zoom within your homes, we'll read the words of Reverend Brian Keeley, who's the minister of the Unitarian Church of Edmonton. The chalice is now extinguished, but its light lives on in the minds and hearts and souls of each one of you. Carry that flame with you as you leave this place and share it with those you know, with those you love, and most especially with those you have yet to meet. So now please stand as you're comfortable here within the fellowship. We'll form a circle as we close our service with the singing of Let There Be Peace on Earth.
Let there be peace on earth. Let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth. Let peace was meant to be. With earth as our mother, we are family. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solid vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.